As the day fades into night and the quiet of the evening settles, we find ourselves reflecting on the events of the day. Some of us may have faced challenges that left us weary. Others may have enjoyed moments of peace, and perhaps some of us feel a mixture of both. Whatever the day held, as we prepare for rest, we remember the words of Paul in 2 Timothy 1:12. For this cause I also suffer these things, yet I am not ashamed, for I know him whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that he is able to guard that which I have committed to him against that day. These words remind us of the profound trust that Paul had in God. Despite the immense suffering he endured, imprisonment, rejection, and the constant threat to his life, Paul was unshaken in his confidence that God would protect what had been entrusted to him. There was no fear or doubt in his heart because Paul knew the one in whom he believed. This confidence is not based on external circumstances, but on the knowledge of God's faithfulness and ability to guard our lives, our hearts, and our futures. As we reflect on this verse tonight, we can also draw comfort from Paul's assurance. His trust in God is an invitation for us to trust in the same God, the one who is with us in every circumstance, the one who never leaves us or forsakes us. This knowledge, this relationship with God, is what gives us peace. In the midst of our struggles, we too can say, I know whom I have believed, and we can rest in the assurance that he is able to protect what we commit to him. Tonight, let us surrender our cares, our fears, and our burdens to God. Let us place all that we hold dear into his hands, our hopes, our dreams, our loved ones, and our hearts. Just as Paul entrusted everything to God, we too can entrust our lives to him, knowing that he is more than able to guard what we give him. There is peace in knowing that we do not have to carry the weight of life alone, for God's presence is with us and his love surrounds us. Let us rest tonight in the assurance that God is watching over us, protecting us, and guiding us into the future he has prepared for us. Paul's words in 2 Timothy 1:12 are not just a declaration of faith, but also a reminder that suffering is a part of the Christian life. Paul endured great trials, yet he was not ashamed of the suffering he faced, because he knew that it was part of his calling. As we lie down tonight, we may find ourselves carrying our own struggles, emotional pain, physical illness, fears about the future, or unresolved situations. These struggles are part of life, but they do not define us. What defines us is how we respond to these challenges and where we place our trust. Just as Paul suffered for the cause of Christ, we too may find ourselves facing difficulties that seem overwhelming at times. Yet it is in these moments that we are invited to lean into our faith, to trust in the one who is able to guard what we commit to him. Our suffering does not go unnoticed by God. In fact, it is in our struggles that we often experience his presence in a profound way. God does not promise to shield us from all pain, but he does promise to be with us through it all. In the quiet of the night, let us take a moment to reflect on the challenges we face today. Whatever struggles you have encountered, offer them up to God. He knows the burdens we carry, and he is faithful to walk alongside us, offering comfort, strength, and peace. He is not distant in our suffering. He is present, and he is working in ways we cannot always see. Tonight, we are invited to rest in the peace that comes from knowing that God is with us, guarding us and protecting us, even in the midst of our struggles. Our difficulties are not the end of the story. They are simply part of the journey. We can trust that God is working all things for our good, even when we cannot see it. So as we rest tonight, let us release our worries and struggles into God's care, knowing that He is faithful to carry us through. Paul's unshakable confidence came from knowing God intimately. When he says, "I know Him whom I have believed," he speaks of a deep personal relationship with God. This is not just intellectual knowledge, it's experiential knowledge. Paul knew God through his own encounters with Him, and it was this relationship that gave him the courage to face anything. Tonight, we are invited to reflect on our own relationship with God. How well do we know God? How often do we take time to truly experience His presence? God is not a distant deity, far removed from our lives. He is near. He desires to be intimately involved in every aspect of our lives. His presence is available to us at all times, when we are joyful and when we are struggling, when we are awake and when we are asleep. As we close our eyes tonight, let us take a moment to acknowledge God's presence with us. He is here right now, and He is ready to offer us His peace and His comfort. The assurance of God's presence is a great source of comfort. When we know that God is with us, we can face anything with courage. His presence brings peace, calming our fears and quieting our hearts. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, remember that God is not far away. He is close and He is with you. You do not need to face this night alone. Let His presence surround you, bringing you peace and rest. In 2 Timothy 1:12, Paul speaks of committing everything to God. I am persuaded that He is able to guard that which I have committed to Him. Surrendering to God means trusting Him with everything, holding nothing back. We surrender our lives, our worries, our loved ones, and our future to Him, knowing that He is faithful to guard what we commit to Him. Surrender is not always easy, but it is an act of trust. It is saying, God, I trust You with what I cannot control. Tonight we are invited to surrender to God the burdens we carry, to release them into His care, and to trust that He will guard them. This is not a passive surrender. It is an active choice to let go and trust that God is more than able to take care of what we give Him. As we rest tonight, let us take a deep breath and surrender our worries, anxieties, and fears into God's loving hands. He is able to guard everything we commit to Him, and in that surrender, we can find peace. Tonight, let go of what you cannot control and rest in the assurance that God is guarding you in all that you entrust to Him. Paul speaks of that day, the day when all things will be made right. For Paul, this was a future hope, the hope of Christ's return and the fulfillment of God's promises. While we wait for that day, we are not left without hope. We are called to live in the peace that comes from knowing that God is at work, even when we cannot see the full picture. Waiting is not always easy. We long for answers, for resolution, for change. But often, God calls us to wait. In the waiting, we learn to trust Him more deeply, to rely on His timing, and to rest in His promises. Tonight, let your heart rest in the assurance that God is working in your waiting. His timing is perfect, and He will fulfill all that He has promised. As you lie down tonight, take comfort in knowing that while you wait, God is working. He is guarding what you have committed to Him, and He will fulfill His good work in your life. Rest in the peace of knowing that God's plans are unfolding in your life, even when you cannot see the outcome. When Paul speaks of that which I have committed to him in 2 Timothy 1:12, he is reminding us that the things we entrust to God are not only safe, but actively preserved by his power. This promise of protection is not just about being shielded from harm. It's a promise that God is intimately involved in guarding what we hold most dear, whether that be our hopes, our dreams, our loved ones, or our hearts. As we enter the stillness of the night, we can rest in the profound truth that God's protection is never absent. It is a constant, unfailing guard over everything that we entrust to him. God does not sleep or grow weary. His care and vigilance over us never end. As we close our eyes tonight, let us feel the comfort of God's protective arms around us. His protection is not limited by time or circumstance. It spans the breadth of our lives, covering our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. Rest assured that whatever burdens you may carry tonight, whatever concerns or worries have weighed on your heart, are being carefully guarded by God. He is watching over you, even in your sleep. Tonight, as you surrender your anxieties, trust in his ability to protect all that you have committed to him. His protection is perfect, and it will never fail. When we place our lives in God's hands, we can be confident that he will keep us safe, not just from external harm, but from spiritual danger, from the attacks of fear, doubt, and anxiety. He surrounds us with his peace, shielding our hearts and minds from all that would seek to disturb our rest. In 2 Timothy 1:12, Paul expresses confidence in God's faithfulness. I am persuaded that he is able to guard that which I have committed to him against that day. This is not a faith rooted in what Paul could see or understand in the moment, but in his deep trust in God's nature. Paul's certainty comes from knowing God's character. God is faithful, and he will do what he has promised. God's faithfulness is a strong foundation on which we can rest our hearts. He has never failed us, and he never will. When we face difficulties, challenges, and uncertainties, we can cling to the truth that God's faithfulness endures. He has been faithful in the past, he is faithful now, and he will continue to be faithful in the future. As you prepare to sleep tonight, rest in the faithfulness of God. Whatever may come, know that God will keep his promises to you. He is faithful to guard your heart, to protect you, and to fulfill every word he has spoken over your life. His faithfulness is the bedrock of your security. And as you rest tonight, you can trust that he is with you, guiding you, and providing for you. There is something deeply comforting about the concept of a heart at rest. In the busyness of life, our hearts can become overwhelmed by worries, anxieties, and burdens. But God invites us to come to him with our weariness and find rest. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." In 2 Timothy 1:12, Paul speaks of his own heart at rest, knowing that God will guard everything he has committed to him. This rest is not a passive retreat from the world, but a deep, spiritual peace that comes from trusting in God's care and provision. It's the peace that enables us to sleep soundly, knowing that everything is in God's hands. Tonight, as you lie down to sleep, allow your heart to rest in the assurance that God is guarding all that you have committed to him. Trust that He is in control of the things that worry you, and that He is more than able to handle everything on your behalf. Surrender your fears and anxieties to Him and let your heart be at rest, knowing that you are safe in His loving care. In the quiet of the night, we often reflect on the events of the day. We may replay moments of joy, or we may feel the weight of challenges that lie ahead. Yet, too, Timothy 1:12 offers us a clear invitation to live with confidence in God's protection. Paul's assurance that God will guard what He has committed to him is not based on wishful thinking. It is based on the certainty of God's ability to protect and preserve. When we live with confidence in God's protection, we are not naive to the difficulties of life. We acknowledge that hardship will come, but we do so with the understanding that God is always with us. His presence is our shield, and His strength is our refuge. No matter what challenges arise, we can stand firm in the knowledge that God is guarding us. Tonight, let this confidence in God's protection fill your heart. Whatever fears or anxieties you may have, know that God is your protector. He is standing guard over your life, over your heart, and over your future. As you rest tonight, trust that He will keep you safe from harm, and that He will continue to guard you as you sleep. As we close our eyes tonight, let us reflect on the words of 2 Timothy 1:12. I know whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that He is able to guard that which I have committed to Him against that day. These words are not just a statement of trust. They are an invitation to rest in the love and faithfulness of God. The God who watches over us is the same God who loves us deeply, who gave His Son for us, and who promises to never leave us. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, rest in the certainty that God's love is guarding you. He has watched over you throughout this day, and He will watch over you as you sleep. There is no greater peace than knowing that we are loved by the Creator of the universe, and that His love never fails. Sleep peacefully tonight, knowing that God is holding you in His arms, guarding your heart, and surrounding you with His peace. Rest in His love and trust that He will continue to guard everything you have committed to Him. As we lay our heads to rest tonight, let's pause to reflect on the depth of God's protection in our lives. 2. Timothy 1:12 speaks to the certainty of God's ability to guard what we've entrusted to Him. I know whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that He is able to guard that which I have committed to Him against that day. In these words, Paul expresses a profound confidence that the God to whom he has surrendered his life will protect everything entrusted to him. This level of trust does not come from a place of ignorance, but from a deep experience of God's faithfulness. Consider the ways in which God has guarded you. Perhaps you've encountered moments of danger, physical, emotional, or spiritual, and yet God has kept you safe. His protection might not always look the way we expect, but it is always present. It is in the moments of deep surrender, when we release control, that we experience the true comfort of knowing that we are guarded by the Creator of the universe. God's protection is not just about avoiding harm. It is also about His constant guidance. It is the quiet assurance that no matter what paths we walk, God is always beside us. He is guiding our steps, keeping us on the right path, and shielding us from the traps that might cause us to stumble. As we sleep tonight, we can rest knowing that God's protective hand is over us, guarding us in our vulnerability and offering us his peace. Often, one of the most difficult parts of life is learning to surrender our fears. We can feel overwhelmed by worries about our future, concerns for loved ones, or the uncertainties of the world around us. But Paul's words in 2 Timothy 1:12 invite us to surrender those fears to God. When he says, "I am persuaded that he is able to guard that which I have committed to him," Paul shows us the deep peace that comes when we entrust our fears to God's care. Tonight, let us reflect on the things we fear, the unknowns that loom large in our minds. Do we fear the future? Do we fear losing someone we love? Do we fear our own weaknesses or the challenges that await us? Whatever the fear, we are invited to lay it down before God, to commit it to him and trust that he will guard it. Surrendering our fears does not mean that they vanish overnight, but it means we no longer carry them alone. We trust that God is big enough to handle our deepest worries, and that he is at work even in the midst of our anxiety. As we sleep tonight, we can rest in the knowledge that we are not alone in our struggles. God is with us. He guards our hearts, and he offers us peace that transcends our fears. One of the most profound sources of rest and comfort is the peace found in God's promises. Paul's confidence in 2 Timothy 1:12 is rooted in the promises of God, the promise that he will guard all that we have entrusted to him, the promise that he will never leave us, and the promise that he will protect us against all threats, physical and spiritual. These promises are not mere words. They are a foundation on which we can build our lives. God's promises are sure. They are not dependent on circumstances, but on his unchanging nature. Tonight, as we prepare for rest, let us reflect on the promises God has made to us. He promises peace, he promises protection, he promises provision, and he promises his presence. These promises are not just for the future, they are for today. They are for right now, in this very moment, as you lay down to sleep. Take a moment to reflect on the promises of God that have been true in your life. Maybe you've experienced his peace in a moment of anxiety, his provision when you felt like there was nothing left, or his guidance in times of uncertainty. These promises are your spiritual foundation, and they can bring comfort and rest as you sleep tonight. Know that you are safe in his promises. Paul's unwavering confidence in 2 Timothy 1:12 comes from a deep knowledge of God's love. He is persuaded that God will guard what he has committed to him, because he knows the depth of God's love and faithfulness. God's love is a love that never fails. It is unchanging, eternal, and ever-present. Tonight, we are invited to rest in that love. God's love is not a distant, abstract concept. It is real, tangible, and deeply personal. It is the love that holds us when we are weary, the love that comforts us in our pain, and the love that calls us to rest in his embrace. As we prepare for sleep, we can rest knowing that God loves us with an everlasting love, and that love never changes, no matter what we face. God's love is the ultimate security. When we are loved by the Creator of the universe, we can face anything with confidence. No matter what the future holds, no matter what difficulties come our way, God's love will always remain constant. Rest in that love tonight, knowing that it surrounds you, guards you, and gives you peace. Paul's confidence in God's ability to guard what he has committed to him is not based on Paul's own strength or abilities. It is rooted in God's infinite power. God is not limited by our circumstances, our weaknesses, or our fears. He is able to do what we cannot do for ourselves. Tonight, as we lie down to sleep, let's remember that we don't have to rely on our own strength to face the challenges of life. God's power is greater than anything we can imagine. He is able to guard our hearts, to protect our minds, and to strengthen us in ways that we cannot do on our own. Whatever challenges we may face tomorrow, we can trust that God's power is at work in our lives, guarding us, protecting us, and giving us the strength to endure. As we rest tonight, let us surrender our own efforts to God and trust in His power to accomplish what we cannot. We rest in the assurance that God's power is at work in us, that He is sustaining us, and that He will be with us every step of the way. As the final moments of the day draw near, we rest in the peace of knowing that God is in control. 2. Timothy 1:12 reminds us that God is faithful to guard what we have committed to Him. Tonight, we commit ourselves to Him, our hearts, our worries, our future, and we rest in the peace that only He can provide. The trials of the day have passed, and now is the time to rest. God has promised to guard all that we entrust to Him, and we can sleep peacefully knowing that He is faithful. We do not need to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We can rest, knowing that God is in control, that He is guarding our hearts, and that He is watching over us through the night. Tonight, surrender all to God. Surrender your fears, your anxieties, your hopes, and your dreams. Trust that He is faithful to guard them, and let His peace fill you as you close your eyes. Sleep in His loving care, knowing that you are safe in His hands. As the night deepens, we find ourselves in a moment of pause, quiet, still, and at peace. This stillness invites us to reflect on the intricate, divine timing of God. As Paul wrote in 2 Timothy 1:12, "I am persuaded that He is able to guard that which I have committed to Him against that day." In these words, Paul acknowledges not just God's ability to guard and protect, but also His perfect timing. Everything is held in God's timing. Life often feels like a series of waiting periods. We wait for answers to prayers, for the resolution of struggles, for clarity in difficult situations. These waiting times can sometimes feel heavy, burdening our hearts with uncertainty. But the peace Paul speaks of invites us to rest in the assurance that even in our waiting, God is at work. God's timing is always perfect, even when we can't understand it. He guards what we commit to Him, not in our time, but in His. As you lie down tonight, trust that your life, your journey, your struggles are all part of a greater divine plan. Let go of the urge to rush, to control, or to force outcomes. Surrender it all to God, trusting that He is handling the timing with precision and care. His timing will bring everything into place, and His protection will guard you through the seasons of waiting. As you prepare for sleep, rest in the knowledge that God's timing is the perfect timing, and everything you have entrusted to Him will come to fruition according to His will. Let that truth bring peace to your heart, knowing that you can rest while He works on your behalf. In the quiet of this evening, with the darkness of the world outside, we are reminded of the unknowns in our lives. Tomorrow is not promised, and the future is a mystery we cannot fully comprehend. Yet, 2 Timothy 1:12 reassures us that God is guarding all that we have committed to Him, regardless of what the unknown may bring. What a comfort it is to know that even in the face of uncertainty, we are not alone. God's protection is not limited by what we can see or understand. He guards us from the unknown, shielding us from things we may never fully comprehend or even recognize as a danger. His ability to protect us transcends our circumstances, and His promises are greater than any fears we may carry. Tonight, as you rest, trust that God is already guarding you against the things you cannot see. There may be fears, worries, or anxieties about the future that creep into your mind, but release them now. You don't need to carry those burdens alone. Surrender the unknowns to God. He knows every detail, and He is already at work to protect and guide you. Rest in the assurance that nothing, absolutely nothing, can separate you from God's loving care and His watchful eye over your life. Let your heart be at peace, knowing that God's protection is far greater than any fear of the unknown. He is already ahead of you, guarding what you've entrusted to Him, and He will continue to provide for you in ways you may not yet see. In 2 Timothy 1:12, Paul speaks of his complete confidence in God. I know whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that He is able to guard that which I have committed to Him against that day. This confidence comes not from Paul's own strength, but from the recognition of God's sustaining power. Paul knows that it is God who sustains him through every trial, and it is God who will keep him safe until the very end. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, let's reflect on God's sustaining power in our own lives. From the smallest details of our day to the larger challenges we face, God's strength has been the source of all that we have accomplished. It is not by our own efforts that we stand, but by His strength that we endure. Take a moment to reflect on the ways God has sustained you in the past, through hardships, doubts, and uncertainties. When you felt weak, He gave you strength. When you felt lost, He gave you direction. Tonight, as you close your eyes, trust that God's sustaining power will continue to hold you. He is the one who guards all that you have committed to Him, and He will continue to carry you through whatever challenges lie ahead. Rest in the assurance that God's strength is perfect in your weakness, and that His sustaining power will never fail you. The deepest source of peace is found in knowing that we are loved. 2 Timothy 1:12 speaks of the confidence Paul has in God's ability to guard all that He has committed to him. But underlying that confidence is a deep and unwavering trust in God's love. Paul's assurance was rooted in the love of the one who had called him, the love of the one who had never abandoned him. Tonight, let your heart rest in the knowledge that God's love is unshakable. His love for you does not depend on your actions, your performance, or the circumstances of your life. His love is eternal, and it is perfect. As you rest tonight, reflect on the truth that you are deeply loved by the Creator of the universe. His love surrounds you, protects you, and sustains you. This love is not distant, it is close, personal, and active in every moment of your life. God's love for you is the foundation upon which all of His promises stand. His love is what motivates Him to guard everything you commit to Him, to watch over you, and to protect you. As you close your eyes tonight, let God's love fill your heart. Know that His love will never fail you. that His love will never abandon you. You can rest in His love, knowing that it is eternal and unfailing. Tonight, you are safe in the embrace of His perfect love. As we close our time of reflection tonight, let us rest in the knowledge that 2 Timothy 1:12 provides us with both a promise and an invitation. The promise is that God is able to guard all that we have committed to Him, our hearts, our lives, our futures. The invitation is to trust in God's faithfulness, His power, and His love. As we surrender everything to Him, we find peace, knowing that He is guarding us and keeping us safe. Tonight, as you lay your head down to sleep, release the weight of the day. Trust that God is guarding your heart, your mind, and your spirit. His presence is with you, and His love surrounds you. Rest in His peace, knowing that He is with you now and will be with you always. May your sleep be peaceful and your heart be calm, knowing that God is in control. Let His love, His peace, and His protection fill your soul, and may you wake tomorrow refreshed, renewed, and ready to continue walking in His strength. Amen.